During World War II, families stored potatoes from October harvest until the following June. 8 months, same potatoes. No refrigeration, no chemicals, no sprouting, no rot. Your potatoes can't survive 2 weeks in your kitchen. You buy them on Monday. By Friday, they're growing eyes. 2 weeks later, they're soft, wrinkled, and heading for the trash. You assume this is normal. You assume potatoes just do this. They don't, or at least they didn't. Your grandmother's potatoes lasted all winter in a dark cellar. The varieties that fill modern supermarkets were never bred to last. They were bred to look good, grow fast, and generate profit. Storage was someone else's problem. Here's what changed, which heritage varieties still work, and why the potato industry doesn't want you growing them yourself. Number 1, the modern potato problem. Something is fundamentally wrong with the potatoes you buy today, and the proof sits in your kitchen right now. Those sprouting eyes, that soft, wrinkled skin, the green patches appearing after just days on your counter. None of this happened to the potatoes your great-grandparents stored through entire winters without refrigeration or special treatment. The modern potato fails at storage because storage was never part of its design specifications. When commercial breeders developed the varieties filling today's supermarkets, they optimized for completely different priorities. High yield per acre topped every list because more potatoes per field means more profit per season. Uniform size and shape came next because supermarkets demand consistency in appearance. Fast maturation followed because quicker harvests mean faster return on investment. Disease resistance earned attention because crop losses hurt bottom lines. Notice what's missing from that list. Nowhere did breeders prioritize how long the potato would last after purchase. Storage longevity, the single characteristic that mattered most to every family during World War II, simply wasn't part of modern breeding goals. The skin tells the story most clearly. Heritage varieties developed thick, tough skin through proper field curing that created a genuine protective barrier against moisture loss and pathogen entry. Modern varieties were bred with thin skin because consumers prefer easy peeling and attractive appearance. That thin skin provides almost no protection during storage, allowing moisture to escape and decay organisms to enter. When World War II families needed potatoes to last from autumn harvest through spring planting season, they grew varieties specifically selected across generations for exactly that purpose. When modern consumers need potatoes to last 2 weeks, the commercial system simply doesn't care because you'll buy more when these ones fail. Number 2, how World War II families stored potatoes all winter. The British Ministry of Food understood something during World War II that modern consumers have completely forgotten. Potato storage wasn't about finding the right spot in your kitchen. It was about matching the right variety with the right conditions, using methods refined across centuries of practical experience. Root cellars provided the foundation for successful storage throughout Britain and America during the war years. These underground or partially underground structures maintained stable temperatures between 35 and 40 degrees Fahrenheit year-round through earth insulation. Humidity stayed naturally high at 85 to 95%, preventing the shriveling that destroys modern potatoes so quickly. Complete darkness eliminated the greening that makes potatoes bitter and mildly toxic. Air circulation prevented the moisture buildup that encourages rot. Families without root cellars used potato clamps, also called pies or graves, which the Ministry of Agriculture actively promoted through wartime publications. These outdoor storage mounds started with a thick straw layer on the ground, then potatoes piled in pyramid shapes, covered with another thick straw layer, then topped with earth. A straw-filled ventilation chimney at the top allowed moisture to escape, while drainage trenches around the base prevented waterlogging. Properly constructed clamps kept thousands of pounds of potatoes fresh through the harshest winters. The curing process that preceded storage mattered as much as the storage conditions themselves. Freshly harvested potatoes spent 10 to 14 days in dark, warm conditions around 50 to 60 degrees with high humidity. During this period, skins thickened and set, harvest wounds healed over, and potatoes prepared themselves for extended dormancy. Only after proper curing did potatoes move to cooler, long-term storage. Number 3. Heritage variety King Edward when World War II began. One potato variety dominated British gardens and allotments more than any other. King Edward, introduced in 1902 and named after the reigning monarch, had spent nearly 4 decades proving itself the most reliable storage potato available to ordinary families. The Ministry of Agriculture recommended King Edward specifically for victory gardens throughout the war years, and the reasons were entirely practical. This variety stored longer than almost anything else commonly available, maintained its eating quality through months of cellar storage, and performed reliably even when growing conditions were less than ideal. The physical characteristics that made King Edward exceptional for storage are immediately visible when you compare it to modern supermarket potatoes. Oval tubers with distinctive white skin splashed with pink and red patches identify the variety at a glance. But the crucial difference lies in what you can't easily see. The skin develops genuine thickness through proper curing, creating a protective barrier that modern thin-skinned varieties simply cannot match. Under appropriate storage conditions, King Edward maintains dormancy for 4 to 5 months without chemical treatment. That's 4 to 5 months of sound, firm potatoes waiting in your cellar, while modern varieties would have long since sprouted, shriveled, and rotted. When World War II families planted King Edward in their victory gardens, they weren't just growing food for summer. They were growing food for the entire winter and well into the following spring. The floury texture when cooked made King Edward versatile across the kitchen. Roasting produced fluffy interiors with crisp exteriors. Mashing created smooth, creamy results. Baking yielded the perfect jacket potato. This culinary flexibility, combined with storage excellence, explains why King Edward remained Britain's favorite potato for generations. Heritage, variety Irish and Scottish families during World War II relied on a variety that many consider the finest storage potato ever developed. Kerr's Pink, created by Scottish breeder J. Henry Kerr and introduced in 1917, earned its reputation through performance that bordered on remarkable under traditional storage conditions. The variety takes its name from the distinctive pink skin that makes identification simple. Round 2 oval tubers with cream to white flesh and that unmistakable pink coloring set Kerr's Pink apart visually from other potatoes. But appearance was never the point. Performance through long, dark winter months in root cellars and potato clamps established this variety's legendary status. Reports from the World War II era describe Kerr's Pink maintaining dormancy for 5 to 6 months under proper conditions. Half a year of storage without sprouting, without softening, without the rot that destroys modern potatoes within weeks. Families who harvested Kerr's Pink in October were still eating firm, sound potatoes in March and April from the same harvest. The thick skin that develops through proper curing provides protection modern varieties cannot achieve regardless of how carefully you store them. This isn't about storage technique, it's about genetics. Kerr's Pink was selected across generations specifically for the ability to wait in dark cellars without degrading. That selection produced physical and biochemical characteristics that thin-skinned modern varieties simply don't possess. The floury texture makes Kerr's Pink ideal for mashing, a consideration that mattered enormously during rationing when potatoes often substituted for bread as the primary starch. Flavor holds up through extended storage rather than degrading, meaning March potatoes taste nearly as good as October potatoes. Kerr's Pink never completely disappeared from cultivation. Irish growers, in particular, maintained this variety through the decades when other heritage potatoes vanished from commerce. Today, seed potato suppliers in Ireland and the United Kingdom still offer Kerr's Pink to gardeners who understand what their great-grandparents knew about potato storage. Number 5. Heritage variety. The name itself tells you something about when this potato mattered most. Arran Victory was introduced in 1918 to commemorate the Allied victory in World War I. Developed on the Isle of Arran off Scotland's western coast, where breeders produced numerous excellent potato varieties throughout the early 20th century. By the time World War II began, Arran Victory had already proven itself across 2 decades of cultivation throughout Scotland and northern England. The variety carried patriotic significance that made it particularly popular during wartime. But practical performance, rather than sentiment, explained why families continued growing it year after year. The deep purple to blue skin covering white flesh creates striking visual appearance unlike any modern supermarket potato. More importantly, that thick pigmented skin provides exceptional protection during storage. Moisture loss, the enemy of long-term potato storage, finds little opportunity to damage potatoes protected by Arran Victory's robust outer layer. Storage trials from the era describe Arran Victory, maintaining quality for 6 months or longer under traditional root cellar conditions. 6 months means harvesting in October and eating sound potatoes in April from the same batch. No modern variety approaches this performance without chemical sprout inhibitors that didn't exist during World War II. The floury texture and excellent flavor made Arran Victory worth growing for eating quality alone. But the storage capability transformed it from merely good potato into genuine survival food. Families who grew Arran Victory knew they were planting security for the entire winter, not just provisions for the coming weeks. Number 6. Golden Wonder. Some potatoes were considered too precious for everyday eating during World War II. Families saved their finest. Varieties for Christmas dinner and special celebrations when something extraordinary was called for. Golden Wonder, introduced in Scotland in 1906, occupied exactly this premium position in wartime food culture. The variety's reputation rested on flavor that many consider the finest of any potato ever developed. Yellow flesh, unusual for British varieties of that era, signaled richness that white-fleshed potatoes couldn't match. The floury texture achieved almost unbelievable lightness when properly cooked. Families who tasted Golden Wonder never forgot it. But exceptional eating quality would mean nothing if the potatoes rotted before Christmas arrived. Golden Wonder's storage capabilities matched its culinary reputation, making it practical to save these precious tubers for months until the celebration they were destined for. The rough russet brown skin, markedly different from the smooth, thin skin of modern varieties, developed substantial thickness through proper curing. This dense protective layer prevented moisture loss so effectively that Golden Wonder actually improved during storage. Flavors concentrated as the months passed, meaning Christmas potatoes often tasted even better than autumn potatoes from the same harvest. The dormancy period extended long enough that properly stored Golden Wonder remained sound well into spring. Late main crop maturation meant harvest came late in the season. Shortening the storage period needed to reach Christmas while still leaving months of usable life afterward. Number 7. What seed companies don't tell you? The modern seed potato industry operates on a business model that directly conflicts with your interest in growing potatoes that store well. Understanding this conflict explains why heritage storage varieties disappeared from mainstream commerce and why you've never heard of most varieties your great-grandparents grew. Commercial potato production depends on farmers purchasing certified seed potatoes annually. Disease certification requires controlled production systems, and the regulations surrounding seed potato sales create lucrative markets for companies operating within them. This system functions perfectly when varieties require annual replacement. Heritage varieties that store for 6 months or longer threaten this model directly. A family growing Kerr, S-Pink, or Arran Victory can save their own seed potatoes from 1 year to the next, eliminating annual purchases entirely. The varieties that performed best during World War II were precisely the varieties that made commercial seed potato sales least necessary. When breeding programs shifted focus after the war, they optimized for characteristics that increased commercial value, while quietly abandoning characteristics that reduced purchase frequency. Thin skin meant faster processing. Short dormancy meant more reliance on commercial storage and chemical inhibitors. Poor home storage meant consumers would purchase more frequently rather than storing successful harvests. The sprout inhibitor industry deserves particular attention. CIPC, or chlorpyrifam, became the chemical solution that allowed mediocre storage varieties to survive commercial warehousing. Instead of breeding potatoes that naturally resisted sprouting, the industry bred potatoes that yielded well and sprayed them with chemicals to solve the storage problem artificially. The European Union banned CIPC in 2020 over residue concerns, but the varieties bred during the CIPC era remain. None of this represents conspiracy. Commercial agriculture optimized for commercial goals, and those goals didn't include your ability to store potatoes through winter without purchasing more. The varieties that served families during World War II didn't disappear because they stopped working. They disappeared because they stopped generating profit for an industry that needed you dependent on continuous purchasing. Number 8. Growing your own storage potatoes today. Everything your great-grandparents knew about potato storage remains true today. The genetics that sustained families through World War II still exist in heritage varieties, waiting for gardeners wise enough to seek them out. Growing potatoes that actually store requires choosing the right varieties and following traditional practices the modern system has abandoned. Start by sourcing genuine heritage seed potatoes from specialized suppliers rather than grocery store potatoes or mainstream garden center stock. Seed Savers Exchange in the United States, Garden Organics, Heritage Seed Library in Britain, and the Irish Seed Savers Association maintain collections specifically because these varieties matter for self-sufficiency. Request specifically King Edward Kerr's, Pink, Arran Victory, Golden Wonder, or similar main crop heritage varieties bred when storage capability was essential. Planting main crop varieties rather than early varieties ensures maximum maturity and storage potential. Allow the full growing season for complete development rather than harvesting immature potatoes that won't store well. When harvest time arrives, let the plants die back completely before lifting tubers. Leave harvested potatoes on the soil surface for a few hours to dry, then move them to curing conditions. Curing is the step modern production eliminates and home growers must restore. Keep harvested potatoes at 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit in darkness with high humidity for 10 to 14 days. Skins thicken and set during this period, wounds heal, and the potato prepares itself for extended dormancy. Skipping this step guarantees storage failure even with excellent heritage varieties. After curing, move potatoes to cool storage between 35 and 45 degrees Fahrenheit with continued darkness and good humidity. Root cellars provide ideal conditions, but any consistently cool, dark space works adequately. Inspect stored potatoes monthly and remove any showing rot before it spreads. Your potatoes sprout in 2 weeks because the entire modern system was designed without your kitchen in mind. Breeders wanted yield. Supermarkets wanted appearance. Chemical companies wanted dependency. Nobody involved in creating today's potato supply cared whether your purchase would last until you could eat it. During World War II, storage wasn't optional. Families needed October's harvest to feed them through April. Failure meant hunger, so they grew varieties selected across generations specifically for the ability to wait in dark cellars without rotting, sprouting, or shriveling. Those varieties still exist. King Edward Kerr's, Pink Arran Victory, Golden Wonder, and dozens of other heritage potatoes remain. Available through seed suppliers, serving gardeners who understand what was lost when commerce replaced self-sufficiency. Growing your own storage potatoes requires one season of effort and returns decades of independence. Every successful harvest proves that the modern potato problem isn't about storage conditions. It's about varieties designed to fail, so you'll keep buying more. Your great-grandparents knew how to store potatoes all winter. Now you know too. Subscribe for more forgotten knowledge the modern food system hopes you never rediscover. Share this with anyone tired of throwing away sprouted potatoes every month.